Hi everyone, it's Aleem here. We're going to be working through some very basic transfer pricing problems to reinforce the idea of how you compute the minimum transfer price. Question 1. A company has two profit centers. Profit center A produces an electronic component with the following variable costs and fixed costs. We've got variable production costs of $60 per unit and fixed costs of $10 per unit. Profit center A is operating at full capacity and sells out all of its output to outside customers at $82 per unit. Profit Center B currently purchases a similar component from an outside supplier. It has determined that the component produced by Profit Center A could be used instead with no adverse effect on the quality of the final product. What's the minimum transfer price that A should agree to transfer the component at? Okay, so thinking this through, our minimum transfer price is the variable cost plus the opportunity cost. Our variable cost would be $60. And in this case, because we could sell this in the open market, Profit Center A could sell this in the open market, they could otherwise make $82 per unit. So if they're going to sell it, internally they'd be leaving $22 on the table, and as a result their opportunity cost is 82 minus the 60, or $22. So we arrive at something kind of obvious here, is that the minimum transfer price in this instance is $82. Question 2. TL Inc. has two divisions, D1 and D2. D1 can produce up to 2,000 units of product T97 per year. All 2,000 units can be sold at a market price of $88. D2 needs 300 units of T97 as a component for one of its products. Last year, D1 incurred the following costs for T97. Variable costs of $37, fixed costs of $22. What is the minimum transfer price that would be acceptable for D1? Now once again, our variable costs are $37. And then to work out our opportunity cost in this case, we're going to go over here and we're going to take $88, which is the market price, minus our variable cost, and we have an opportunity cost of $51, and therefore the minimum transfer price once again is the market price of $88. Okay, in situation 3, here's what we have. SQ Inc. has two divisions, S1 and Q2. S1 can produce up to 2,000 units of product T97 per year. All 2,000 units can be sold at a market price of $88. Q2 needs 300 units of T97. On interdivisional sales, variable selling costs can be avoided. Unit costs, we've got variable manufacturing costs of $37, fixed manufacturing costs of $22, variable selling costs of $5, and the question is, what is the minimum transfer price that would be acceptable for S1? Well, here's how we're going to do it. Our variable costs once again are $37, but this time our opportunity cost isn't $51 anymore, because if we were going to sell this externally, we would be paying that selling cost of $5. By transferring it internally, we no longer have to pay that outside selling cost of $5, and therefore our opportunity cost is $5 less. So our minimum transfer price in this instance is actually $5 less than the market price, or $83. If it helps you think about this another way, if we were going to sell this in the open market and we were going to get $88 as our selling price, we would still be paying right off the top $5 as a selling cost. So in our hands we would end up with $83, and as a result, that's the minimum transfer price we'd be willing to accept. Question 4. SQ Inc. has two divisions, S1 and Q2. S1 can produce up to 2,000 units of T97 per year. 1,700 units can be sold at a market price of $88, and Q2 needs 300 units. For interdivisional sales, variable selling costs can be avoided. Last year, S1 incurred the following unit costs. Variable manufacturing costs were $37, fixed costs were $22, variable selling costs were $5. What is the minimum transfer price that would be acceptable for S1? Well, in this instance, we aren't at capacity. And in fact, we're not even selling up to capacity yet. We have 300 additional units that we could even make, because we are currently making 1,700, but could make up to 2,000. At the very least, as long as we're covering our variable costs, there is no downside to us to doing this. To conclude, our minimum transfer price in this instance is $37 because our variable cost is $37 and we have no opportunity cost. Question 5. SQ Inc. has two divisions, S1 and Q2. S1 can produce up to 2,000 units of T97 per year. Now here's the rub. 1,800 units can be sold at a market price of $88. Q2 needs 300 units, and I think the idea here is it's all or none, so there's no way to sell only 200 units or 100 units we have to fulfill this order in full. For interdivisional sales, variable selling costs can be avoided. Last year, S1 incurred the following unit costs. Variable manufacturing costs were 37, fixed manufacturing costs were 22, our variable selling cost is 5, and again it's asking what is the minimum transfer price that would be acceptable for S1. So our first step here is to look at the opportunity cost, and once again it's very similar to the previous question. It's $88, which is the market price, minus our variable cost of 37, minus our selling cost of 5, all multiplied by the 100 units that we would be giving up as a result of taking on this special order. Why 100? Well, currently they're asking us for 300 units, and if we were to try to fulfill all 300 units, our capacity was 2,000, and we currently are selling 1,800. If we were to try to sell 300 units on this special order, we would have to forego the 100 extra units on what we would typically sell in the open market. Said another way, if we were to take on this special order, the maximum number of units we could sell in the open market would now be 1,700 as opposed to 1,800. What are we giving up in that case? Well, we would be making $46 per unit, and we've seen that in some of the previous questions, so I won't dwell on that, but we would be giving up $46 per unit times 100 units, and that gives you $4,600. $4,600 divided by the 300 units on the special order gives you $15.33 per unit as an opportunity cost. Well, now this question just becomes like some of the other ones we've already looked at. Our variable cost was $37, our opportunity cost is $15.33, and therefore our minimum transfer price is $52.33.